Okay, hello students. Today we are going to study the next segment of the lesson, ecosystem, that is nothing but the ecological pyramids. So ecological pyramids are nothing but these are the graphical representations. That means we can define the ecological pyramid as it is a graphical representation of the relationship between individual organisms present in the various trophic level of a food chain. So when comes to the founder, or we can say who developed this ecological pyramid, means the scientist called Charles Elton in 1927 developed the ecological pyramids. So how these ecological pyramids are useful and how they are going to be considered, that is the main thing. So ecological pyramids, they are going to give a clear picture about the particular trophic level and the particular food chains present in an ecosystem. So here the first thing we have to remember about the ecological pyramid is nothing but in each trophic level of a ecological pyramid, how much organisms and which are the types of organisms they are present, all are included in a calculation of a biomass. So that is the main thing. That means all the types of organisms in each trophic level are considered for the calculations of the pyramid quantity, that means biomass. Either it may be in the number, or it may be considered in case of biomass, or it may be in the energy level. So that's why it is going to be considered. That means all the organisms present in each trophic level, they are going to be taken into consideration while calculating the sum of the quantities like number or biomass or energy. That is the main thing. So next comes to the another point which is most important about the ecological pyramid is nothing but in ecological pyramid, the organisms present in each trophic level, they are going to occupy the particular trophic level based on their functional value or functional levels. They are not going to be occupied on the basis of their species level. That is the main thing. That means in an ecological pyramid, organisms occupy particular trophic level based on their functional level, not on the basis of species as such. So now next point which is most important about the ecological pyramid is nothing but here out of all the organisms which are present in a particular ecosystem, more than one trophic level is going to be occupied by the, that means more than one trophic level can be occupied by the similar organisms. That is the main thing. For example, okay, wait, let me complete this point. More than one trophic level may be or can be occupied by same organism or same species of an organism. That is the main thing. So for example, if we take a sparrow, so the sparrow may occupy a level of primary consumer because it eats up food products which are from the plants. That means it acts as an herbivore, and also in the same way it can also act as an carnivore because it going to eat worms and insects also. So that's why the sparrow is going to occupy the more than one trophic level in an food chain. So when comes to the that means primary consumer level, there it is going to eat the some of the food products like fruits, grains and all. So when it comes to the third level, third trophic level, that is nothing but the secondary consumer level, there we can see that the same sparrow is going to eat the some of the insects and the worms. That is the main thing which we consider here. So now one more thing about the ecological pyramid is nothing but almost all the ecological pyramids, they are upright in condition, but exception is also there. That means in some of the cases the upright condition is not going to be seen in an ecosystem. So almost all ecological pyramids are upright, but exception is also there. But except in some ecosystems. So how they are exception, that we are going to study later. So this much is there. So next let us study about the types of ecological pyramids. So as we know, ecological pyramids, they are of three types, that is pyramid of number, pyramid of biomass and also pyramid of energy. So when it comes to the shape of the pyramid, we can see mainly three types of shapes. That is, the first one is nothing but the upright pyramid, which is triangular in shape. That means at the bottom it has a broader area and at the tip it has a narrow region. So next one is nothing but the inverted pyramid, which is exactly opposite to the upright pyramid. That means it have a broader area or broader end at the top, and at the bottom it have a tapering end. And one more shape is nothing but the spindle shaped. This one have both upper and lower ends, tapering ends, and at the middle it is broader. So these are the three main shapes of the pyramids we can get in an ecological pyramids. So now let us study about the first one, that is nothing but the pyramid of number. So the pyramid of number is going to give an exact number of organisms which are present in a particular trophic level by the graphical representation. So when we take an example, we can take one of the example, that is the pyramid of number in a grassland. So when we observe this one, so primary producers, that means the major primary producers in a grassland are nothing but the grasses. So these are going to occupy the first trophic level. These are going to occupy the first trophic level. And then when comes to the second trophic level, the second trophic level is going to be occupied by the primary consumers, and the primary consumers are nothing but the herbivores. So next level is going to be occupied by the secondary consumers, and the secondary consumers are nothing but the carnivores. So that is, the third trophic level is going to be occupied by the secondary consumers, and the secondary consumers are nothing but here the carnivores. So next one is the fourth trophic level is going to be occupied by the tertiary consumers, and the tertiary consumers are nothing but the top carnivores. Okay, now let us understand this particular sequence in case of number, because we are studying the pyramid of number here. So when it comes to the grass, we can see so many number of grasses are present in a grassland, because the major what we can say organisms, that means the producers which are present in a grassland are nothing but the grasses. If we take around 10,000 grasses are there, so over those grasses we can see the presence or dependency of the herbivores. Herbivores, for example, we can take as an deer as an example. When compared to the grasses number, the deer number is less, because number of deers are found less in a grassland when compared to the grass. So next one, when comes to the carnivores, which comes under the third trophic level, that is secondary consumers, we can take an example of a wolf. When compared to the number of deer, we can find that the number of wolves are less. So for example, we can take the 100 number of wolves may be present in that particular grassland. So next is nothing but the top carnivores. next level, that is fourth level, is going to be occupied by the top carnivores, and when we take example of a top carnivore, we can take an example as a tiger. So obviously number of tigers are very less when compared to the wolf in a grassland. So we can take as around 10 tigers may be present. So obviously this this decrease in number from the lower trophic level to the higher trophic level will create a pyramid which is upright in number. So that means which is upright in shape. So that's why this pyramid is considered as an upright pyramid of a grassland ecosystem. So next, here this one is example for an upright pyramid, but in a particular pyramid of number we can see the another type of pyramid also, that is nothing but the inverted pyramid. But the inverted pyramid we can see in case of an parasitic food chain. Only in case of parasitic food chain, in this particular pyramid of number we can see the inverted type of pyramid. So let us see the example. So here when we take a particular parasitic food chain, so it may be start with the host or it may be start with any kind of producers also. Host means we can take it as an both animal or a plant. So here we took one example, that is nothing but here we took primary producer as a host body. So here this particular tree, or we can say primary producer, which is considered as an one of the single tree, is going to give shelter for many birds. That means many birds are considered as, fruit eating birds are considered as an herbivores which comes under a primary consumers. These primary consumers, they are going to depend upon this particular tree or primary producer for its food. So these herbivores, that means we can take an example as in many fruit eating birds. The fruit eating birds, they are going to give shelter for the many parasites like lice and bugs over their body. So that means the lice and bugs, which are nothing but the primary or which are nothing but the parasites, they are going to take shelter over the body of a fruit eating birds. So their number is also more when compared to the birds. So now the next level is nothing but the hyperparasites. The hyperparasites are nothing but the parasites over the that means parasites over the parasites. Those are considered as an hyperparasites. So here the parasites like lice and bugs which are present on the body of a bird, they are considered as an parasites. But over these organisms, that means over these parasites like lice and bugs, some of the hyperparasites are present or depends, those are considered as an bacteria and fungi. And when compared to their number is more when compared to this particular parasites. So here we can see the increase in number from the lower trophic level to the higher trophic level. That's why this particular pyramid is in the shape of inverted pyramid. So that's why parasitic food chain in a pyramid of number is nothing but an inverted pyramid of number. So here once again you can analyze a single tree can give shelter to many fruit eating birds, and many fruit eating birds can give shelter and food to the many lice and bugs which are considered as parasites, and these particular parasites, lice and bugs, they can give shelter and food for many bacteria which are considered as hyperparasites. So this will give a inverted pyramid of number. So here we wrote number also. See, if one tree is going to give a shelter for 10 number of birds, then these 10 number of bird gives shelter for 100 number or more than 100 number of the bugs or lice, and these 100 number of bugs or lice, they can give shelter for more than the thousands of the hyperparasites. So this will shows the increase in number from the lower trophic level to the higher trophic layer. So here first trophic level, second trophic level, third trophic level and fourth trophic level. When we observe from the first trophic level to the fourth trophic level, we can see the increase in number of organisms. So that's why this increase in number gives an inverted pyramid of number in a parasitic food chain. Okay, next one, let us move on to the third one, that is pyramid of number in a forest ecosystem. So this one is a little bit different from these two, because this will give an shape, that is third shape of a pyramid, that is nothing but a spindle shaped pyramid. Why? Because when we take one example of a forest ecosystem, there we can see that single tree can give shelter for many fruit eating birds, and if we take many fruit eating birds, then when compared to the number of tree, it is going to be more. But the carnivore birds which are going to eat this particular fruit eating birds, their number is lesser. So that's why this will give an spindle shaped. That means first the decrease in number, then increase in number, then once again it decreases the number. So that's why it is going to give a spindle shaped pyramid. So that's why this one is considered as an spindle shaped pyramid, which is nothing but an forest ecosystem, in a pyramid of number in a forest ecosystem. Here we wrote number also. So primary producers, which is considered as a tree, which is 1 in number, and the primary consumer, which are nothing but fruit eating birds, we count or we can take around 10 birds, and the secondary consumer is nothing but a carnivorous bird will come, and this will be lesser in number in a forest. So this will give an shape that is nothing but a pyramid shape. That's why this pyramid of number of forest ecosystem is considered as it is having a spindle shaped pyramid. So let us go for next one, that is nothing but pyramid of biomass. So pyramid of biomass is going to indicate a particular quantity of biomass, that is in terms of dry weight, which is present in a particular trophic level. So it is going to give an idea about the biomass of a particular trophic level. So here this one is one of the example of a biomass pyramid, in which we can take an example as a pyramid of biomass in forest ecosystem. So when we take a forest ecosystem, the plants are considered as a primary producer in a forest ecosystem. So when comes to the biomass of a plants, we can see the biomass is going to be considered as more in case of forest, because the more number of trees or we can say herbs, shrubs are present, so that obviously their biomass is going to be more. So next one, the second trophic level is going to be occupied by the primary consumers, and primary consumers in the forest are nothing but the herbivores. And these herbivores, when we take a mass of these herbivores, when compared to the particular plants or we can say primary producers, that is going to be decreased. So because the number of individuals which comes in this particular herbivores are going to be decreased when compared to the number of primary producers, that is nothing but the plants. And when comes to the third trophic level, the third trophic level is going to be occupied by the secondary consumers, and the secondary consumers are nothing but in a forest are nothing but the carnivores. And when compared to the carnivores, their number is less when compared to the herbivores. Herbivores number is more, that's why the biomass is also going to be get more. So when comes to the carnivores, the number of carnivores in a forest is going to be less, and their biomass is also going to be considered as a less. So next, when comes to the last level, that is nothing but a fourth trophic level is going to be occupied by the tertiary consumers. And when comes to the tertiary consumers, the top carnivores comes under a tertiary carnivores in a forest ecosystem. So when comes to the mass or when we consider the biomass of the top carnivores, it is going to be less when compared to the carnivores. So this is going to give an upright pyramid of biomass in case of an forest ecosystem. So that's why the pyramid of biomass is upright in case of an forest ecosystem. So next one is nothing but the another example in a pyramid of biomass, that is nothing but the biomass pyramid in a pond ecosystem. But when comes to the pond ecosystem, we are going to get the inverted pyramid. Why? Because in a pond ecosystem, we can see the increase of biomass from the lower trophic level to the higher trophic level. Let us take one example. So here the first trophic level in a pond ecosystem is going to be occupied by the phytoplanktons, which are nothing but the primary producers in a pond. So these phytoplanktons, they are very small organisms. Even these particular small organisms are also helpful in the sustaining of the larger organisms in a pond ecosystem. So when comes to the biomass of this phytoplanktons, if we take 100 grams, then it is going to be very less when compared to the other organisms which are present in a pond ecosystem. So phytoplanktons comes in a first trophic level and their biomass is going to be less. Next one is the second trophic level. Second trophic level is going to be occupied by the primary consumers. So primary consumers, we can take example as a zooplanktons, which are going to depend upon the phytoplanktons for their food. So but when compared to the biomass of the zooplankton is more when compared to the biomass of the phytoplanktons, because by eating these phytoplanktons, the zooplanktons are going to get more food and energy, and they are going to multiply or they are going to increase their biomass by their growth. So next one is the third trophic level. The third trophic level is going to be occupied by the smaller fishes, which are going to depend upon the zooplanktons for their food needs. And these smaller fishes, when we take an example or when we measure the biomass of the smaller fishes, it is going to be higher when compared to the zooplanktons. And the fourth level, that means fourth trophic level, is going to be occupied by the larger fishes. And when we take a biomass of a larger fish, even though they are lesser in number also, but their biomass is going to be more when compared to the smaller fishes. For example, if you take a biomass of a one single whale or some other dolphin and some other bigger fishes, there we can see the biomass in terms of tons. But when it comes to the smaller fishes, the biomass of a smaller fishes is lesser when compared to the larger fishes. So this increase in biomass from lower trophic level to higher trophic level give an inverted pyramid in a pond ecosystem. And this particular increase in the biomass system we can compare to the biomagnification also, which is going to be studied in the lesson, that is environmental issues. So biomagnification, in case of biomagnification also, we can see the increase in the level of toxicants from the lower trophic level to the higher trophic level organisms. That means the toxicant which is going to enter into the body of that particular phytoplankton is going to be increased when it is going to reach to the zooplanktons, and it is going to be increased more when it is going to reach to the smaller fishes. Then it is going to increase still more when it is going to reach to the larger fish's body in the terms of a food. So this is nothing but a increase in particular biomass in case of pond ecosystem, which give an inverted pyramid of biomass. Okay, let us know about the third type of pyramid, that is nothing but the pyramid of energy. So pyramid of energy, so this particular condition is going to be related with that particular 10% law. So according to 10% law, we can say that only 10% of energy is going to be transferred from the lower trophic level to the higher trophic level in a food chain. So here we are going to take one example in which we can see the transfer of energy, and this one is going to give an upright pyramid. And in case of pyramid of energy, only we can see the upright pyramid, and pyramid of energy can't be inverted due to the 10% law only. So here the primary producers are nothing but the plants in this one. That means in case of a forest ecosystem, or we can say any one of the terrestrial ecosystem. So here primary producers, that is nothing but plants. When compared to the plants, if they have a 10,000 joules of energy, the organisms which are going to eat the plants, that means the primary consumers, for example deer, if they eat the plants, then they are going to get only 10% of that particular energy which is present in the plants. That means only they are going to get 1,000 joules of energy. So next one is the third trophic level, in which we can see the secondary consumers. And secondary consumers, when we take an example of a wolf, wolf is going to get only 10% of energy from the deer when it feeds on the deer. So that is nothing but the 100 joules of energy. So next one is when comes to the fourth trophic level, that is nothing but occupied by the tertiary consumers. When we take an example of tiger for the tertiary consumers, tiger is going to get a 10% of energy from the wolf when it is going to feed on the wolf. That is nothing but only 10 joules of energy is going to be get from the wolf when it is going to eat. So that it is going to clear that only 10% of energy is going to be transferred from the lower trophic level to the higher trophic level. So that's why we can say that the energy of pyramid, that means pyramid of energy can't be inverted due to the 10% law itself. So this particular pyramid is going to indicate that particular decrease in energy from the lower trophic level to the higher trophic level. So next, let us move on to the some of the limitations of the ecological pyramid. So some of the limitations are there in a ecological pyramid when they are going to represent. So here some limitations are, that is nothing but first one, that is species belongs to the 2 or more trophic level, they are not taken into account. For example, as we said, some of the organisms, they are going to occupy more than trophic level. They may be present in a primary consumer level and they are may be present in a secondary consumer level also. If they are same species of organisms, they are going to occupy the different trophic level at a time, then they are not going to be considered in this particular ecological pyramid. That means they are not going to be indicated. So next one is, it is assumes a simple food chain, something that is not exist or that is almost never exist in a nature. It is not going to accommodate a food web. So that means ecological pyramid is going to be assumed, that means it is going to be appear like just a simple food chain, but the food chain, or we can say simple food chain, never exist in a nature. So only existence is nothing but the food web. So food web is present in a nature, not the food chain. So here this particular pyramid is going to appear like a food chain, but it is not exactly the food chain, and the food web can't be represented in terms of an ecological pyramid. So next limitation is nothing but some of the organisms like human beings and the saprophytes, that is nothing but the decomposers, they are not going to be assigned any trophic level, or they are not going to be given any particular place in an ecological pyramid. So these are the three limitations of a ecological pyramids. Okay, let us move on to the next one, that is ecological succession. Next one is ecological succession. Let us first write the definition of a ecological succession. So ecological succession is the gradual and fairly predictable change in species composition of a given area is called the ecological succession. Let us repeat. Ecological succession is nothing but the gradual and fairly predictable changes in a species composition of a given area is called as an ecological succession. So here the meaning is nothing but any particular area in which we can see the change in the species composition which can be noticeable, that is going to be considered as an ecological succession. And ecological succession is mainly of two types. It is of two types. The first one is nothing but primary succession. Primary ecological succession. So the second one is nothing but secondary ecological succession. Okay, let us know about the primary succession. So primary succession is nothing but here in this condition the succession of the species takes place from the region where the substratum is absent. That means this is going to be started by the formation of the soil itself. So that's why this primary ecological succession is a slower process, because it is going to take much time for the formation of the soil. So that means primary succession is nothing but the succession which starts at the absence of the, that means in the absence of the substratum and the formation of a substratum will take much time. So that's why it is slow process. That means the primary succession is going to take place in a region where there is no any previous living condition is present. So next one comes to the secondary succession, that means secondary ecological succession. Secondary succession takes place in particular area where already substratum is present, and but due to some of the climatic disorders, there is no any presence of a living conditions. So this particular secondary succession is faster because it is already contain a substratum, that is nothing but the soil is already present in a secondary succession. That is why secondary succession is a faster process. Okay, let us take some of the example for a primary succession. So some of the regions of a primary succession is nothing but, as the primary succession says, it starts from the formation of the substratum. This is going to be particularly occur in some of the regions like newly appeared rock. Example is nothing but newly appeared rock. So that means when the new rock are going to appear means they are going to come out from the earth crust during some of the cases like earthquake and all. So in that particular region, when the vegetation will start, that particular condition is considered as a primary succession. And also some of the other examples like land dunes. Newly formed pond and volcanic eruptions. These are the some of the examples for the primary succession. So in case of volcanic eruptions, we can see that due to high temperature, the vegetation near that volcanic eruption is going to be completely destroyed, and there is no any presence of the particular soil, that means the soil which is suitable for the growth of a living organisms. So this particular region is going to start the primary succession because there is no any presence of a soil. So the lava should convert into soil after cooling, and then the vegetation is going to be start there. So that's why this particular example is going to be taken under primary succession. And when it comes to newly formed pond also, so when we take an example of newly formed pond, there is no any presence of a vegetation, but we can see the presence of the region which can occupy the water only. So after occupying the water, slowly it is going to start the formation of the living condition, like first zooplanktons will form, first the phytoplanktons will form, next the zooplanktons will form. In the same way, in the sequence of continuation of the generation, the higher plants are going to be formed. So when it comes to the secondary ecological succession, we can take some of the examples of a secondary ecological succession, that is nothing but the forest area which is destroyed by the fire. So fired forest area. So when we take this particular example, if due to some of the natural calamities like forest fire, if the vegetation is completely destroyed, then we can say that there is a bare land, there is no any presence of a living conditions. In that particular condition, only substratum is present, and but this substratum should convert into the suitable condition for the growth of plants and living organisms, and then there we can see the formation of other types of organisms. So this is going to be taken example for secondary ecological succession. So like that, so many examples we can take. See, for example, deforested area. So in deforested area also, due to cutting of tree, there is no any presence of a living condition. So all the organisms, living organisms are going to be vanished from that area. So due to lack of the plants, there is no condition suitable for the growth or survival of the any living organism. So this land will remain as a bare land. Only soil is present, but there is no any kind of living condition. So in this particular area also, we can see the secondary succession. Okay, let us know about the communities which are present in a primary and a secondary succession, or we can say communities which are present in an ecological succession. Okay, let us know about the communities of ecological succession. So ecological succession, they are going to give different communities. The first one is nothing but the primary community, which is nothing but the pioneer community. First one is nothing but a pioneer community. So this one is a community which is first formed, that means the first formed biotic community in an ecological succession is considered as an pioneer community. First formed biotic community of an ecological succession is called pioneer community. So let us take an example. So when we take an example in a terrestrial ecosystem, we can see the lichens are the first formed biotic communities. Lichens are the first biotic communities which are formed in a primary ecological succession. So primary ecological succession, as we know, it should be start with the formation of the soil. So lichens are the sum of the organisms which are helpful in weathering of rock. So you people already learned in your lower lessons or lower classes that the weathering of rock leads to the formation of a soil. So these particular lichens which grow on the rock, they are going to secrete some kind of substance, that means chemical substances, which are going to helpful in weathering of rock and helpful in the formation of the soil. So that's why we can say that the member, or we can say pioneer community members of the primary succession are nothing but the lichens. So primary succession community, that means pioneer community, are nothing but the lichens. Okay, when comes to the another type, that means secondary succession, that too particularly when we take an example of a pond, formation of a pond. So there we can see some of the phytoplanktons. Phytoplanktons as the pioneer communities which are going to give a secondary succession. But these are the organisms which are comes under pioneer communities because in a formation of a pond, that means during the secondary succession, in case of formation of a pond, these phytoplanktons are the first formed biotic communities. That's why the first formed biotic communities are considered as the pioneer communities. So pioneer community of the pond ecosystem are nothing but the phytoplanktons. So next one is the second type of community, that is nothing but the climax community. Climax community. See, climax community are nothing but the last formed biotic community last formed biotic community of an ecological succession is considered as an climax community. So for this we can take an example of top carnivores and larger trees. So top carnivores, how these are particularly considered as an climax community means, so these are the organisms which are lastly formed in a particular ecological succession, and these particular climax community members, they are having an equal, or we can say exact harmony with the particular environment. So that's why these are considered as an climax community. Okay, let us move on to the third type of community, that is nothing but transitional community. See, transitional community is also called as a serial community. Or in short form we can say it as an SERE, S-E-R-E. series. So this transitional community is nothing but the series of sequence of communities which comes between the pioneer community and the climax community. In between these two community, that means in between the pioneer community and climax community, we can see the transitional community. Okay, let us say one example here. So if the producers, that means primary producers comes under a pioneer community, so and the top carnivores comes under a climax community, then we can say the intermediate communities, that is nothing but primary consumer, secondary consumer and tertiary consumer. These are all considered as a transitional communities because these communities comes in between the pioneer community and also the climax community. So this particular sequence of communities, that means formation of communities, is going to give a clear picture of a ecological succession in a stage by stage manner. So next one is nothing but based on the habitat. Based on habitat, we can see the two types of succession. The first one is nothing but hierarch succession, and the second one is nothing but xerarch succession. Let us know about the hierarch succession. Here the hierarch succession is nothing but the succession which starts from the wetter regions. The succession which starts from the wetter regions. Wetter regions means where the water is present. So next, when it comes to the xeric succession, it is a succession which starts from the xeric condition. That means there is no any presence of water. So it starts from xeric condition. So here one of the important point to be noted, that is nothing but both the succession, that means the hydric succession and also xeric succession, they are going to lead to the mesic succession. They are going to lead to the mesic succession or mesic condition. So what is mesic succession or mesic condition means? The moderate water condition, that is nothing but, so when if it is started with the hydric condition, that means if the succession of a community or living organism started in a wetter area from the water, then also it is going to reach to the moderate water condition. And if it is started from the absence of the water, that means from the xeric succession or xeric condition also, it is also going to reach to the mesic succession. But we can say that whether it may be hydric or xeric succession or hydrarch or a xerarch succession, it is going to lead to the mesic condition. That is the main plus point in an ecological succession. Okay, let us know about the succession of organisms or series of succession of organisms in case of hydrarch succession. When we take a series, the first community formed is nothing but the phytoplankton, and then next one is nothing but primary angiosperms, floating angiosperms, floating angiosperms, and then the next community is nothing but rooted hydrophytes, and then next one is nothing but sedges, and then next one is nothing but the grass, and the last climax community is nothing but the trees. So this one is a sequence of communities or series of communities which are formed in an hierarch succession. Next, let us take an example for xerarch succession. In xerarch succession, the pioneer community is nothing but the lichen. That means the succession starts from the lichen, and then the second formed, or we can say transitional community, are nothing but the bryophytes, and the last climax community is nothing but the bigger plants like trees and all. So this is the series of succession in case of an xerarch succession.